Today, we are taking a look at the opening trailer for Twice's Ready to Be album. We're gonna go through this scene by scene in slow motion, and then afterwards, we're gonna talk about some theories and what you can expect from this next comeback. So the trailer opens up with this top-down shot of Nayeon being surrounded by a bunch of drones, which feels a little bit out of place because there really aren't any other references to other technology in the rest of this trailer. I do get some Matrix vibes from other parts of the trailer, so maybe this could be a little bit of a reference to it. Maybe she's being chased, maybe she's on the run from something, who knows, but it is a cool shot nonetheless. Alright, and that takes us to this really quick shot of Sana walking up to the telephone. But before that, we get to see a little bit more of Nayeon, we get to see a little bit more of her outfit, and of course her face. But then we're back to Sana, and this gives us an interesting look at the environment, right? Because you're gonna notice on the walls, there's a bunch of graffiti, it's really dirty. It gives it that post-apocalyptic feel. Alright, and you're gonna notice on the side of the building it says "Better Makes Me." A lot of this graffiti is most likely going to reference lyrics in the upcoming title track, or perhaps lyrics in some of the B-sides. You're gonna see a lot of posters, a lot of torn up posters. Here it's hard to make out what these are supposed to be. Maybe the reference to some kind of Twice art that I'm not aware of, but some of the later posters are gonna be a lot clearer what they're referencing. Now on the side of the building, it's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of an important detail that I'm going to bring up later on. But you're going to notice that it says vintage shop, and at the bottom here it says Monday to Friday, but the time says 13, which is military time, right? That's the kind of time that they use around the world. It's the time that they use in Korea, but in the United States this would say 1 p.m. and that is going to be important for a later scene that I'm going to talk about, but for now, keep that in mind. And on the side here, you're gonna notice that it looks like Sana's photo card is stuck on the side of this telephone. This is like the photo cards that they released for the Between 1 and 2 albums. I recognize this because I think I have this photo card, if not one of the other ones in this set. But it's really cool that they stuck this in here, and it's almost missable. But anyways, let's continue with the rest of the trailer. So, Sana picks up the phone, we get some shots of her from different angles. She looks a little bit worried. Again, it gives me that feeling that maybe she's being followed, maybe she's being chased. But then we get this wide shot of the entire building, and we have references to some Twice stuff. For example, Twice the movie Make Me Feel Special, referencing their Feel Special song. We get some signs for the laundry service, a one-way sign, more torn up posters, more graffiti, and on the window here, which is why I brought up the window in the first place, you're gonna notice that the time now says 1 p.m. I don't know if this is just a continuity mistake, but it seems like it might be kind of important because this time will continue to change depending on the scene. At the beginning you saw that it said 13 right here, 13, but now the entire front of the store is lit up, and even the sign is lit up, and now it says 1 p.m. Interesting. Maybe it's not important, but we'll go into it a little bit later. Alright, as soon as Sana is done with her phone call, she leaves the phone hanging in the air, almost like it's stuck in a simulation, almost like it's the Matrix. You kind of see a little bit more of that here in this shot with Chaeyoung, with the glass on the window just like being broken but being stuck in place. Really, really cool. But now let's get into Chaeyoung's scene here with a bunch of graffiti behind her. I also really like how this shot starts because it almost feels like a perspective shot, as if Chaeyoung was almost spying on Sana in that moment. Alright, so starting from the right, we have You Make Me Wanna Risk It All. Then we have I'm Rolling High on a Feeling. We have one that says Got a Crush on Me. Then we have this blue one that says Fade Away, which is really cool because the text is like fading away as well. So it's like a really cool artistic choice. And then on the left here, it's really hard to tell what it's saying. It almost seems like it's saying kissing the line or sing the line. It's hard to see it, but that's what the graffiti says. It could reference stuff from the title track, or it could be references to other Twice songs. I'm not too familiar with a lot of their lyrics, so you guys will have to let me know in the comments if I'm correct on that. Alright, now that we're done with Chaeyoung scenes, let's move on to Dahyun scenes. So, not really too much to look at here. She's gonna be standing in front of a ton of posters. Obviously, the big ones, March 10th, Ready to Be. That's when the album is gonna release, so really cool to see the posters there. We have a poster referencing The Feels, which was their first English-only track. We have a reference to Blame It On Me, a reference to 1 in a Million, which is both like their chant and a song. So that's really, really cool to see. I don't really recognize this image that's used in the poster, but maybe you guys will have to let me know what these images are from. And then on the right side here, you're gonna notice that the store has a Moonlight Sunrise sign, which is really cool. This is their most recent song and their second ever English-only single. So it's really cool to see it represented there. And of course, it's gonna be on the Ready to Be album, so it only makes sense. So Dahyun picks up a piece of paper, crumples it up, throws it in the garbage bin, but it gets stuck. Almost like they're in a simulation. I'm gonna go with that theory. But for now, let's take a look at some of Mina's scenes. There really isn't a lot to uncover from this because you can't really see a lot from the background. Obviously, there's still a bunch of graffiti and still a bunch of torn up posters, but it's hard to make out some of the text. So unfortunately, we can't really discover anything from this, but really cool scene nonetheless. She picks up the telescope and that transitions us into our next shot. Now, if we pause this next scene at the correct time, we're able to see some really fun details. This is a different perspective of the vintage shop that we saw earlier, but here we see the graffiti a lot clearer. We see the words "Hold Me Tight," and then we have "Set Me Free" written on the wall here as well. But most importantly, is this number on the bottom that says 10/20/2015. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the date of Twice's debut. So really cool to see that, and I'm really glad that I'm able to recognize that now. Alright, let's move on from Chewie and her really cool zoom shots that they're doing with her here. And now we're at Jeongyeon. She's drinking coffee, maybe it's tea, I'm not sure. But we're gonna see this really, really cool poster in the background, which is different from the ones we saw earlier because this one has the Moonlight Sunrise text like overlaid on top of the Feels text, which is really, really fun. Of course, these are the two English singles that Twice released, so it makes sense that they would be together, but other than that, there really isn't anything else to take from this scene. Let's head over to Momo and her look against this wall. Very, very nice shot. You're gonna notice that on the wall here it says "Value Vinyl Dump." This could be a reference to the fact that Twice is going to be releasing a vinyl for this album. In fact, the vinyl is already sold out, so there you go. Same posters that we saw before, but you get a boombox, which is interesting because boombox suggests 90s. It suggests old school. So it's interesting to see that here. Now we get this cool transition where Momo taps the air and it creates like these waves, which then takes us back to the phone from the beginning of the trailer. Now this time it's Jihyo that's picking it up, and you're gonna notice once again, if you pause it and look at the window, the time has changed once again. Now it says 13 again. I have a theory that perhaps there are alternate dimensions and some of the girls are stuck in one dimension and some of the girls are stuck in another dimension, and maybe they're trying to communicate with each other through the payphone. We initially saw the payphone in the Moonlight Sunrise music video, so it's really fun to see it come back into play here in this trailer. Alright, now as soon as Jihyo is done with the phone call, as she puts the phone down, you're gonna notice that everything falls back to the ground, which is really interesting. Now on the buildings themselves, there are signs that say a bunch of different things. One of them says Thrills, one of them says Set Me Free, the live show. I'm sure we're gonna get a good live performance for this song. Crazy Stupid Love, which I think might be referencing a movie. And then Eyes Wide Open, which of course references the Eyes Wide Open album. But very cool to see. Also, the sky kind of reminds me of the Moonlight Sunrise sky, so that could be a reference to that as well. And then we end on this shot of what looks like to be like a powder room or a makeup room. It almost feels out of place. It doesn't really have anything to do with any of the other scenes that we saw. So I'm curious why they decided to end on this. But regardless, this is what they chose, and we get the ready to be text with the date and time that the album is going to release. And that's pretty much it. That is the entire trailer. It makes me even more confused for what we are about to see in this next album.
Now, the reason why I say I'm a little bit more confused now than I was before is because the things that we're seeing and how they're promoting this album feels really, really different. Like, for example, they use this text on the Ready to Be posters and all of the album covers and everything, and it looks really elegant, right? It has like a vintage look to it. Even the colors that they're using, this like brown on beige, is a very old school looking kind of vibe, right? It reminds me of the 70s, back when all the appliances used to have this like two-tone color with like cream and then this brown, almost like fake wood grain texture. But we're not getting that at all in this trailer, and that's what makes it so confusing, right? To add on, if you listen to the backing track for this trailer, you're going to hear trap sounds, and it could even transition into what could be an R&B song. But then you go look at the concept photos that they released today, and they give off like an alternative rock, almost pop rock aesthetic. And then you go listen to Moonlight Sunrise, and it's nothing like that. So I'm confused. I don't know what we're going to get in this upcoming album, but maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'll be more surprised, and that should be more exciting. With that being said, let me know what you guys think about the trailer. Let me know what you guys think about the comeback. If I missed anything, correct me down in the comments below, and leave some of your theories as well. I'll be glad to read some of them. As always, take care, and I will see you guys next time.